In this video, I'll be talking portion control versus tracking macros.
So tracking food versus portion sizes?
This is a very controversial topic all round. Everyone's got their opinion. Guys, look, this isn't like our way or the highway. We're just sort of speaking from experience and what we see as an overall trend. And like portion control, and I've been seeing a lot of this lately. You know, you shouldn't have to track calories and do your portion control and everything will be great and blah, 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 which I agree with, definitely, and I also agree with tracking food. They've both got their purpose, and if you're leading a very unhealthy lifestyle and overeating, and you know you are, and you're wanting to make that sort of next step as far as changes are concerned, it won't matter. I mean, yeah, getting in routine with training is one thing, and it's so important too, but if you're not willing to fix your food, it's going to be 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward, 1 7/8 back. Your progress is going to be very difficult regardless. And I believe that if someone is overwhelmed with just food in general and changes in food in general, well, most definitely looking at something where they can just, get portion control or quality over the portions that they're consuming on a daily basis, because if they do that and they bring their portions down, automatically they're in a calorie deficit or reducing the amount of calories that they're currently consuming. So I believe portion control is a great one for someone who is just overwhelmed with the whole eating and food experience and probably is lacking a tremendous amount of knowledge, because the thing is that even with portion control and even with eating clean, you can, one, still overeat, but two, what happens in the stalling process as well, because the body's going to adapt, the metabolism's going to adapt, and that's why we stall, because honestly, if it was calories in, calories out, we'd just lose weight all the time, and we would never have this issue as far as people struggling to take off weight. So a portion controlled situation is probably a really good one initially, just the KISS method. Keep it nice and simple, watch your portions, get reasonable meal consistency, and that's a whole other episode as far as, you should have 5 meals a day, blah, blah. You know, you got to do what works for you and what you can stick to. That's a good diet's one you can stick to, and I always say that. So but they do say 3 to 5 meals is normally adequate for someone who's trying to maintain, if not grow muscle and reduce body fat. So I see tremendous benefits initially going the portion control side of things, especially for the newbies. Your thoughts on?
Yeah, I also look at it as case by case basis. So if someone's overeating, yes, portion control definitely helps. But if you've got someone that's overweight but is undereating, portion control won't help.
Yeah.
So
hit the nail on the head.
It could be the other way for them if they're undereating. So it just depends client by client.
I think Jake just absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's a case by case basis. There's so much variability out there, and there's no cookie cutter or one size fits all way of going about things. It's like the cardio, it's like HIIT, it's like what weight splits, it's what works for that individual. So the more that we're getting in depth down that side, the more varied approaches that we've got in the tool belt to be able to use as well. The other one, people say, tracking food and tracking calories, oh my God, it's just, it's overwhelming. Well, one, MyFitnessPal is probably the main one that we tend to use. You can pretty much scan all your food in and change all your portion sizes. So imagine if we had an Excel spreadsheet or a pen and paper and had to do that every day. This day and age with technology has really allowed us to make tracking easy, and all you're looking at is basically your proteins, fats and carbohydrates and total calories as well. With tracking food, it allows many different things as far as whether you're trying to increase calories, drop calories, you know, whether you can take it from carbs and fats. It's probably that little next level approach in the way of being able to do a lot more with tracking calories or tracking macros. Some people just track calories overall, some people track macros, which is the proteins, fats and carbs. So again, case by case basis, exactly like Jake said, but I always say, you know, about weighing food and tracking macros is you put that meal together right, don't you? Yeah. You go, well, all you're doing is you've got a bowl or whatever it may be, or a plastic container on some scales, and you're just pressing 0 every time you're adding food in. That's the only difference. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, and the difference in results over time and creating that habits, just like difference from getting nowhere or going backwards to just phenomenal results, just doing that little thing.
And we're not just saying this just because we're trying to preach some program. We're saying this purely to give you guys some education on, one, our experience and what we've been through. We've tried it all, and two is what we're doing with our clients, whether that be lean muscle gain to mass gain to fat loss to being stage ready as well. So it's look, you do what works for you and what you can be consistent with, but I definitely say the portion control side of things has its limitations, but it definitely, hey, a lot of people just want to intuitively eat and have a little bit more understanding that way. But if you're finding that you're starting to get the stalls where you don't know what to do next, I'd say definitely that's where you want to then start what Jake and I normally advise with a new client or someone as such, is that we get them 5 to 7 days of calorie tracking just to see where things are at, because they might be consistent with certain things and others it's totally out of because they'll change a meal around, but the macros are just so skew if it's not funny. So normally that highlights a few things for us where they think they're eating healthy, and then we just change a few things with their macros, being proteins, fats and carbs, and tweak those, and that can be the major difference from not experiencing plateau for a very long time once again. So
absolutely love the way we're doing it. So doing diet history, what is it, and then all we need to go in is just tweak a few things. Protein might need to come up a little bit higher, which is generally the case. Carbs might need to be reduced, fats might. So we just tweak little things to what you're already doing, and next minute you're on the way to achieving whatever goals you have, just by little tweaks and keeping similar routines, but just adjusting things. And it's so much better than just here's a meal plan, there you go, enjoy. Plus
you'd be over it in 2 weeks sort of thing. So the other thing too, again, this is a whole different video or topic, is you know, how much carbs, how much fats, how much protein, well, case by case basis. But the other thing too is some people respond better to, as far as satiety is concerned, or just being able to receive more carbs in their diet, whereas others not so much and respond better to a low to moderate carbohydrate intake and a higher fat content. So that honestly is case by case. And then there's different ways where you can actually reset the switch where your body's tolerance levels are even better again. But again, that's all the tools in the tool belt that we can use, but it's not as simple as to look, oh yeah, lean muscle gain or fat loss, there you go, there's your diet plan. Everyone's different, and you've got to take that into account before you start or putting the plan together, constructing the plan based on the information that you're given. So I think the more knowledge that we've got behind us, with the more experience we've got with such a diverse client base, we're able to utilize certain tools as needed, and what works for this person here might have the total reverse reaction with this person over here. So basically what we're saying is that one size does not fit all, and that you've definitely got to take into account as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So